New England Ski Journal's Basecamp Podcast, presented by Country Ski and Sport. Ski season is here, and it's time to gear up at Country Ski and Sport. Shop now for your best preseason deals at any of their 3 locations in Hanson, Quincy, and Westwood, Mass. Or shop online at countryski.com.
Hey everybody, welcome to the New England Ski Journal Basecamp Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Specian, joined by my sit-in co-host, David Yas.
Maybe for the last time, but yes, producer David Yas here, pinch hitting once again. And once again, we'll say, Eric, we look forward to seeing you back here because, well, we're running out of things that I know about skiing. I'm managing somehow. I feel like I'm skiing on one ski, like John Cusack did in Better Off Dead. He won, though. I
consider it this way. You started out as pizza and French fries, right. And you have grown well beyond Stem Christie's, well beyond. So David has been involved with this podcast about skiing all year long, and his knowledge of the people, of the ski areas, of what skiing's all about has just ballooned. He started as a never ever beginner, mm-hmm. And he is now. I'm not taking him down Goat or Star at or Paradise at Mad River Glen yet, but he's making it down those hills very well.
Well, I'm still a miserable skier, but at least I know a lot more about skiing. Maybe perhaps not how to ski, but you're right about the people that we've had on the show and the people that I've learned from, you've learned from. So we decided it might be fun to do just a little recap of influential skiers that we've featured this ski season on the podcast, leading up to the terrific guest that we have today. I'll leave that blowing in the wind there.
Yes, David. And as if anybody has missed one of the podcasts this winter, this will tell you some of the people that you'll want to go back and listen to because they were inspirational in every way. Big time.
First one was one that even I didn't need to be introduced to. I mean, I didn't know him, but I certainly knew it. And that's Glenn Plake, the inimitable free spirit, Mohawk sporting rebel that he is. He was great.
Yeah, Glenn Plake was awesome. He is the Pied Piper of skiing, period, the end. He transcends time. So Glenn caught us from Vegas on his way to Baja, which was pretty cool. So he was actually in a parking lot in Vegas talking to us via Zoom. It was pretty funny.
On brand for Glenn Plake.
Yeah, it sure was. He was going down to the big race in the Baja 100, is it? Or whatever. The race through Baja, and he was there on his way down there. So Glenn, thank you for joining us. You're the best, to say the least.
He was terrific. Kim Reichhelm, another good one.
So we go back to movie time, and we had a lot of cool things on here this year with renowned people that skied for Warren Miller, for Greg Stump, and Kim Reichhelm. Everybody's seen her. She was on TV on the Today Show and everything else at one point. But Kim, go figure, we were just talking about Glenn going to Baja. Kim caught us in Baja at her house in southern Baja, Mexico, with the surf behind her. I was so jealous, but she is incredible.
You were only off by one digit. It was the Baja 1000.
Baja 1000.
Right. And Kim told tale of how she stood up to David Letterman on his show, when he was trying to be a wise guy, right?
Exactly. Yeah. See, David's into this now. He's enjoying this.
Who would have thought? How about Kristen Ulmer, another great guest?
Kristen Ulmer, New England girl. The first two, well, Kim was New England. Glenn, of course, is from California. But Kristen Ulmer, world-class skier, big mountain skier, just plain a pleasure to talk to with her philosophical views that really got me thinking. And it just seems like everybody was on the West Coast at that point. But Kristen took us from, she was in a hotel room in Vegas, and Kristen wins the best backdrop yet. So go to YouTube. You can see it yourself.
We, by the way, record this podcast in scenic Milton, Massachusetts. Nothing against Milton, but it ain't Vegas and it ain't Colorado. Anyway, Mike Hattrup was another great guest.
Mike Hattrup. Mike is just an awesome person. I've known him for a long time. Blizzard of we did a movie series, which was so cool. 3 movies in a row. But Mike, caught us from, I believe he was in Salt Lake City. He works for Black Diamond now. But long history, incredible mogul skier. Mike, Greg, Scott Schmidt, and Glenn Plake were the Blizzard of and it was incredible.
Terrific. And a guy we've had on the show, I think more than once, John Egan. It was great to visit with him this year.
Well, I can tell you one of the most soulful people, period, the end, the most soulful podcasts that we had were sitting here with John as he sat in his barn, and he was just tremendous.
And cool to have his biographer, Eric Wilbur, alongside. Or I don't know.
Nope, that's Dan. Oh, that's his brother Dan. So
I was doing well.
See, I've got him going, but
I had the family correct.
Well, if all of these people, there's one thing in common, and I believe they are all in there now. They are all part of the U.S. Ski and Snowboard Hall of Fame. They're all world-class skiers that we've had on here with huge stories of how they got there and what they did. Today, we can't leave out an incredible world-class skier who is also in the hall, Donna Weinbrecht from Killington, Vermont.
Let's bring her on now.
And coming on next, we will have Donna on to bring you what it's like to win gold. We'll talk to you in a bit.
Looking for expert ski, snowboard, and boot fitting advice? Stop into one of Country Ski and Sport's 3 locations in Quincy, Westwood, or Hanson, Mass. As a third-generation family business, Country Ski has provided Boston area skiers with the best service and discounts in the area for over 50 years. Whether you are brand new to the sport or a seasoned veteran, Country Ski has the equipment and accessories for all ability levels. Don't forget to ask about their popular season lease program, which helps families eliminate the growing pains of purchasing new equipment every year as kids grow. And don't forget, any child 18 years or younger receives a free season pass to Saddleback Mountain with each lease from Country Ski. Visit countryski.com for all the latest information or to shop online.
The Button Ski Hanger is a patented ski storage fixture that safely stores alpine skis regardless of length, width, or shape. This means that your fat powder skis can now be stored next to your narrower carving skis, your race skis, and your kid skis. For more information, visit their website, buttonskirack.com. The Button Ski Hanger is also available for purchase at amazon.com. So make your purchase today. The Button Ski Hanger is simply better for your skis.
At 4,237 feet, Sugarloaf is one of the largest ski areas in the East and second highest peak in the state of Maine, trailing only Mount Katahdin. Boasting over 1,300 acres of open terrain and a vertical drop of nearly 3,000 feet, Sugarloaf offers a wide variety of terrain for all ability levels. A historic winter is ahead with the debut of West Mountain. It's the largest terrain expansion in the Northeast since the late 1970s, adding 12 new beginner and intermediate trails, 88,000 feet of snowmaking pipe, and 246 HKD snowmaking guns. Sugarloaf is a destination not to be missed. Stay slopeside and plan your trip today at sugarloaf.com.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the Basecamp Podcast. Now, on the Zoom line, we have Donna Weinbrecht, Olympic gold medalist, Hall of Fame skier, and she is live for the first time. We are live at the Base Lodge of Killington, Vermont. Hi, Donna.
Yeah, hi, how you doing? Yeah, Base Lodge, brand new Base Lodge here at Killington. It's amazing. We have a lot of, we have some après party going on upstairs, and yeah, it's nice to be, welcome Base Camp.
Well, no, it's
Base Camp here at Killington.
Exactly, from the Base Camp at Killington. How's the snow up there right now, Donna?
Well, we've had like a week of like classic East Coast skiing. The snow is awesome though. We've had a bit of rain and some warmer temperatures, but that makes really soft moguls, right? You know? So the mountain skiing really well. I have Superstar behind me where we've had the women's alpine event that they premiere in November. And, that has a lot of base on it. And I have a mogul clinic coming up this weekend. So I've been out every day just checking out moguls and skiing a lot. So
you know something about moguls?
I do. Yeah.
Go figure.
Well, I always tell the story that I was like a starved Jersey girl growing up, because down in Jersey they would never let moguls, like develop. They would mow them, and so a few families got like some ski houses, a second home, and we'd come up to like Vermont and it'd be like, where's the moguls, So my dad, being a builder, actually built us a winter home up here in 79. So we've been here for quite some time, and really Killington embraces its mogul culture.
It sure does. So do I understand that skiing wasn't your first sport?
Well, so I grew up in Jersey, North Jersey, on a lake, and so I would ice skate, and I was, I guess we were just very talented athletes. We would have scrimmages, hockey games, of course, on lake. It's not a pond, but, it's like a mile and a half to walk around it. But I remember teaching, like, everybody how to skate backwards, teaching all the girls how to spin. And my one friend was like, you know what? You should go up and tell your mom that you should get figure skating classes, And both my parents grew up right outside of New York City in Secaucus, where the Meadowlands and the football stadiums are. And they thought, wow, I moved up to the country, and my mom was like, I'm not taking you to a rink and back again. She was like, you get out on that ice and just have some fun. So ice skating was my first love, but I always think that it prepared me for being in a ski boot, right?
Well, you know what? In today's day and age, I always say today's skis are, hockey players should be great skiers, because we stand so neutral on skis these days. The correlation's right there.
Definitely.
Yeah. So you guys ended up at Killington. You said you had a house built up there by your dad?
Yeah, my dad. So we had a family that moved out of that little New Jersey, North Jersey, and they moved in Killington, and they opened up a bar on the Access Road, and they had 3 boys. And so, we were looking around, and I was in high school at this point, and I was just so excited. Yeah. So I was in high school. So I founded our high school team with my one good friend that actually went on to Burke Academy. So we had a good ski group in North Jersey. And so Dad built a house, and it was probably right around 80 was the first winter that we were up here. And I mean, Outer Limits was just being cut. And I think they just started, hosting the Bear Mountain Mogul Challenge that they had, which was such a cult, following, almost like a Woodstock type event, every spring. So
that event is huge.
It is.
That is absolutely huge. So you grew up. That was really the heyday of bump skiing at Killington. What was the culture like up there? The Mark Adamize and stuff.
Oh yeah, Mark. He's a beautiful skier. I just call him. I refer to him as the Rat Pack. I mean, I was on Outer Limits at the beginning of this week, and I ran into Hannah Soare's parents, Randy, the Hammer, they call it, Skiddy Skidmore. These are all people that not the Soares, but that I knew prior to making the team. So they were just like huge influencers on me, basically going up and down Outer Limits and skiing. And there was just a ton of people. And then, I was still in high school, and I realized, I had no idea. I was just, gravitating to that kind of free spirit in the 70s, like learning how to ski. I mean, I just, got to spend more time with Wayne Wong this winter at Waterville Valley's World Cup. And just to hear his old stories were just so cool, because it was like, that's when I was growing up and, learning to ski. And I would go through the ski magazines, ski or skiing, cutting out stuff. And I always cut out freestyle stuff. And and just seeing the timeline and hearing him talk, it was like, he was doing what he loved, right? We all just do what we love. But I was like, you really influenced through your love of that sport, like me, and I got to benefit from it in such a huge way. It saved my life, really.
Yeah, we had Wayne and Ken Tofari on right going in the podcast right before that World Cup. It was amazing talking to them, about what freestyle was back then to what it is today. Because they were, they were truly, as Wayne put it, hot doggers.
Yeah, I love the term still hot doggers. And I loved how he said that they, even Doug Pfeiffer, I went to his memorial in New York City, and they're going to do one out at the Hall of Fame this year in Park City, another memorial for him. But just, to me, it's so important to learn about the birth of it, and then hearing Wayne's stories and Doug Pfeiffer, who was the editor of Ski Magazine and such an influencer with the ski world, talk to, the guys at Waterville Valley. Who was the owner back then? Do you know?
Tom Corcoran.
Yes, Tom Corcoran. And Tom was an alpine skier, right?
Yes, he was.
And he says, aren't they as amazing, those alpine skiers, And Doug Pfeiffer was like, well, what about all those guys bumping and flipping on down the hill? And he goes, we should have and they called it exhibition skiing back in the day.
Yep.
I think it was in the 70s. So yeah. And then you hear Wayne's view of we came down and we did some jumps, and then we went through the moguls, and then we went into our ballet routine, and it was just to impress the judges. And right there was the forming of the 3 disciplines. And just to hear that is just so cool. To get the essence of it all,
Well,
yeah.
it was very free spirited. It was, and it was fun to watch. Because they use the terrain sort of, I equate it to what big mountain skiing has become, where you're using the terrain rather than it's not just a straight discipline, which is fun. Which is fun.
And then Wayne was he was watching the World Cuppers, and nothing ever doesn't stay the same. But he was he has such style. And,
tons.
It's he. And back in that era, and you see all the photography and the black and white, and they all look like that 70s. You got chops, long hair, all the cool, it's kind of, I always tell people, I'm so out of it. I'm in again, with some of my, clothing, full piece suits, the neon, that was me in the 80s.
Sure.
But, him, they all look like these, race car drivers with their, stretch pants on, and, yeah, I mean, he was looking at it and he goes, I can't see any personalities. And I'm like, yeah, I could understand that. Everybody's got a helmet on, and they're, skiing machine-made moguls, which kind of makes things a little bit uniformed and stuff. So, but we're all still so impressed with the level of speed and the tricks that they're throwing is just amazing.
They're incredible athletes for sure. It's kind of funny you brought up clothing. We had Mike Hatrip on, and I brought up Club A.
I had a Club A outfit. Yeah.
So cool. I mean, that we all
diamond.
Of course, yeah. That was good stuff. Well, 1991 through 97 put you on the map in the world, not only in this country, in the world. Why don't you tell us about that, the Olympics, your world championships? I know it's a lot.
That is a lot. I mean, I would have to start as a little kid, right? You remember the first time you watched the Olympics and you go, wow, that is so cool that you get to go and represent your country, and you watch the, up close and personals. And I remember watching Stein Eriksen.
Yep.
And I'm going, wow, he was unicycling, and I'm like, I unicycle. And he's like a big sailor, Stein Eriksen. I'm like, we sail, and he was known for being smooth. He would remember his little pom-pom flying back and forth. And I'm like, wow, everybody say I'm a smooth skier. So it's just like, it's those like connections and stuff. But, like I said, I liked skiing. I had a racing background, but I just liked the free spirit of mogul skiing. And, I always think that it was amazing that my story is kind of very organic, right? Because like I was self-taught out of Killington, because when I got into it being very seriously, my parents wanted me to put me in the freestyle program here, and they actually dropped it because we were the rogues of the mountain back then. There was some kind of insurance thing with the jumping. So I just like worked as a waitress here on the mountain, got my USSA card, and, would work at night, ski in the day, did all my East Coast like competitions. And then I remember making nationals. I think it was 86.
Mm-hmm.
It was at Waterville Valley. And, I was like nervous, and it's first time you're against your, the U.S. team, and that's how you get picked. So I remember, I think I got like 16th or something. So then the following year I was just like, well, if I don't make it, I'm going to put myself back. I was an art student, so I was going to put myself back into art school. And that year I was the only one picked out of the East Coast to represent the East Coast from moguls, female mogul skiers. And it was at Squaw Valley Nationals. And it was up in the bowl and on that north side, very steep run. I hope I'm saying it right. It was back in 87. So,
Right.
And it really separated people who could handle it. Like, it wasn't like a flatter run where, everybody can shine. I still and I'm without a coach. So I'm up there, and, I ended up making the team. So 87 nationals make the team. So now I'm like, wow, this is pretty cool. My rookie year is 88. And what happened in 88? Freestyle demonstrated in Calgary. So I'm walking on, and I knew I couldn't go to that Olympics because I think back then when, they wanted like one person for each event. So the ballet, moguls, and air from each country to represent each of those things. So they weren't fielding like a huge like Olympic freestyle team. So out of the three disciplines, moguls got granted full medal status because the aerials were still jumping without helmets, and a few of them hit their head and got concussed.
Sure.
So they were like, all right, you got to demonstrate again. They didn't mind moguls because at that time in 88, I think there was figure skating a scandal going on. So they really weren't like looking into, another judged event, right? And look what we are now. But they were like, okay, well, moguls has a timing element in it. And so they granted it as a full medal sport for 92. So here we are, like, I'm like, this is my rookie year. So the next year we get the good news that mogul is granted full medal status for 92. So within that, like my second year on, I think I won nationals my rookie year. I got a couple podiums. The second year I was second in the world and winning World Cup. And then I was World Cup champion, world champion, and I was getting to be known for winning like 8 like World Cups in a row. And they had me as the surest thing to win the first gold medal in 92. They said the surest thing since Jean-Claude Keely in 64. So I was like, and he was like the athlete that was representing, I guess, Albertville, France. So
right.
It was kind of interesting. But I mean, what a trajectory. I mean, I feel like I walked on, and Park Smalley ended up being my first coach.
Sure.
I mean, so this is interesting too. You have like, I came from nothing to something, and Killington's just, I mean, not Killington. Freestyle is just getting organized. I mean, we had one coach for one discipline, for 3 disciplines. So you have ballet moguls in air, and he had put on his door when we were in France or wherever we were. He's like, if you want coaching on the moguls, I'm going to be on the mogul course at this time, and I'm thinking, oh, cool, someone's going to look at me, So, it was pretty interesting. Like for me, coming from nothing to something, I just blossomed. And when you had, someone who was probably maybe a little darling from their area and then feeling like they were getting less, but that was the way it was back in that era, we would be traveling like this crazy circus across, Europe or Asia or, we were just, it was so cool, really cool experience.
I take those winning ways. I'm going to say you were Lindsey Vonn and Michaela Schifrin before they were around.
Well, thank you.
I like it.
I was actually here and watching Michaela when she did her 46th World Cup slalom.
Yep.
And that's Stein Eriksen's for his. No. And I was like, it was so special for me. And I had a little private moment with my niece who grew up here at Killington. And I'm like, wow, it was very cool to watch. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yes, by all means, those days, those moments. We had Kristen Almer on the show a few weeks back, and it's really funny because she grew up at Pat's Peak and came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Just like, very much, I don't want to say rags to riches, but nowhere.
But it is like, Lindsey Vonn was from, what was she, from Minnesota?
Yeah, Buck Hill.
Yeah. I think it's like what you make it, right? You're hungry, it wasn't just given to you on a silver platter or whatever.
Right. Diane Roffey. Same thing. Small Hill in New York. It doesn't have to, you don't have to come out of Vail to be great. In all honesty, you're better off being more grounded somewhere else. So the Olympics, that's me. So here I'm sitting at the top of the course in Teen France, and I'm just like, kind of like very grateful. I would always get in the top and just stamp my feet and then just have a moment of gratitude, and to think that I always loved the Olympics. I always loved winter. I followed something that I just adored and loved to do, and it brought me here. I've coached kids around the mountain, and I've had freestylers and mogul skiers, but the parents getting angry because he's not spending time on the mogul portion, and I'm like, he's just jumping, and I go, you know what? I go, wait a little bit. I bet that you'll have like a whole different sport, So you have like the big air or like, sure.
Yeah, it's just like you got to pull from what you experienced, and try to give them some, guidance along the way.
Yes, definitely. Well, David and I were talking before you came on. We were talking about the people we had on this season, and the amount of Hall of Famers, U.S. Ski and Snowboard Hall of Famers. And in 2004, you were inducted. What did that mean?
Right.
Yeah, what did that mean to you?
Oh, I remember getting the call from Paul Robbins. Remember Paul Robbins drove for like ski racing with his little Rasta Tammy on, and it just to be recognized by your peers is just amazing. I think things come at you so fast, and I think Peekaboo was in my class, and I think it was before they started moving them to celebrate, and but we went to Ishpeming, Michigan, and what an education to the people there are so proud of that, the Hall of Fame museum and the site there, and it was just an amazing experience, and to walk through the main building and see, so you're walking in there and you see all these like portraits of people that have come before you, and it's almost like very spiritual, I would have to say, with dim lighting and like, and you're seeing all these skiing greats and now snowboarding greats as well, on different pillars, and it definitely hits you.
Well, it's a holy grail almost.
Yes, yes. And it's so nice. I was just talking to Liz McIntyre, who was my teammate, who
Sure,
took
yep.
silver, and Lilyhammer, and we spent the summer. Tom Kelly reached out to us, and now there's just, I mean, yeah, right. We weren't known for taking a lot of medals for winter sports. So, like, when I came home with my medal, I think it was Bonnie Blair, Christy Yamaguchi, Kathy Turner for short track, speed skate, myself, you know?
That's, yeah.
And now, like, just within skiing, snowboarding, I mean, we're like, you know, taking a large portion of you know, victories and podiums at Olympic level. Well, there's more events now too. Right?
Yes, yeah, there are more events, but
yeah.
but we do stand out in a different way. It sounds like there's a party. You're at the Base Lodge at Killington right now. Is something going on?
Yeah, I think there's a private party upstairs, and yeah, so that's why I kind of was like, oh, I'll set up down here, but yeah, there's a band going.
Yeah, well, it's and then it'll move right down the access road from there, as always.
Yes, yeah. And,
so mogul skiing has definitely changed through the years.
Yes.
How do you see those changes? What are your thoughts of the new discipline, the athletes, and everything? You spoke a little bit about it.
Yes, I you know, nothing ever stays the same, right? You know, we would show up sometimes, and you know, you always wanted to jump bigger, you know, and we had basically I made the team when it was completely raw. Like you know, it was no machine-made moguls. You would get red carded if you were shown kicking up a jump. So you really had to work with what was there, and no chop landing. So you also had to jump and try to figure out where to land safe amongst the mogul field, or you know. So it was a lot of planning, you know, and the technology. I was probably started my career on a 190 and ended my career in a 169.
Unbelievable.
You know? Yeah. So within 13 years, I think, so I was part of the, you know, it went like that for a while. And then I, you know, like, okay, so like, you know, if someone screws up, I remember a Frenchman, and we were in Japan, and he screwed up his first jump, and he went in and he did a backflip, and he got red carded. You know?
Right.
You know, so what it is now. So you weren't allowed to flip. So yeah, I mean, I think they started allowing us. I think they started with the jump, because you always wanted to go bigger, because you wanted to be able to get more airtime and do a bigger trick. You know, because now we're, you know, it's all upright. You're trying to link like double twister spread or daffy, you know, triple daffy. But when you're limited with a jump, you know, so I think that was the increment of changing there. And then when we became full medal, it was the French that were the first one to roll a course for the Olympics in '92. And I remember going up to the top and going, you know, I went from point A to point B without any break. I was like, well, that was easy, you know, to kind of have your, like, you know, lines all like, you know, right, left, all the way down, and not having to figure out a flush or, you know, like a natural bump course. You would be like, start out with something rhythmic, and then all of a sudden there might be an opening, and it might take you a little to the right or left, and you want to stay, you know, tighter center. So you might have to do like your own turn before you would link into another sweet line, you know? So there was a lot of organicness like that in the old day, and to then all of a sudden you're kind of skiing that what's there. And to, you know, ending my career where if you missed your jump, there was no way you were going to be competitive off of anything else, because the airs almost blocked the rest of the course. Like, they were massive. I mean, huge. And so I went all the way through to 98 Olympics. I went to Lilyhammer, 98. So 3-time Olympian. Took 2 years off, and then I shot for Salt Lake City, because I was like wondering if I could make actually, you know, an Olympics and have an experience in the U.S. And I came very, very close to making my 4th Olympics. But anyway, that was when Johnny was starting to do, because he was Johnny Mosley.
Oh, yeah.
A combined skier. And he was specialized, and then he kind of narrowed it down to be mogul specialist. And that was when he was doing the dinner roll where, you know, he was doing that little off excess and couldn't get his feet above his head, or he'd be disqualified. And I remember him training in Chile and where we were in the summer, and, you know, just taking and falling and, you know, working in to finally, you know, getting it for that Olympics, you know. It was just amazing. And then, so then that's 2002. And then 2003, they opened it up for flipping.
Sure.
You know? And I always thought, wow, you know, and I retired at 37. But I was like, all right, I go teach a dog new tricks. I think I might see the, you know, I don't know if I'm going to start flipping at that age. But I remember thinking, like, I was retrospecting, you know, because I think Hannah Carney was just coming on. And I'm like, think about that. You're dealing, like, all the youngster, like, these uprights and doing these, you know, and all of a sudden you got to learn how to flip. You got to, like, you know, flip or sink, right? And, you know, that's amazing. So much growth within that period. You know, I had teammates coming on from regional levels and becoming like Evan Dittig. So sometimes the athletes were better coaches, you know, because, you know, we were the ones pushing the sport, you know?
Oh, yes.
And I remember him teaching me to open up my stance for my takeoffs, and it totally helped me, you know? So, yeah, I remember having a nice aerial session. His dad had a rope tow in the back of his house in Vermont, and Evan was nursing a knee injury, and I came out, drove from Killington over to his house, just started working my triple twisters, a double twister spread. So I kind of left with, you know, doing triples.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
You mentioned Hannah. You mentioned Johnny. The U.S.
Yeah.
The U.S. You know, the Europeans really have held the majority of the alpine events through the years. We're going to, outside of the Michaelas, outside the Bodies and stuff, we've had some great skiers or great positions, but we've never been dominant. In mogul skiing, the U.S. tends to be a dominant force. Why do you see that as the case? Why do we do it there?
Well, I don't know. I you know, that's interesting. You know, because it was born here.
There you go, Bernie. Way to go, Bernie.
Yeah, exactly, Bernie. And then I mean, for me, like, I'm just so happy to see, like, you know, you pass the baton, and, you know, maybe, like, you feel like you did affect. You know, of course, it's just like Wayne Wong and their spirit affected me, and maybe me, like, showing that, yeah, you can win, and you can win multiple times, you know. So you have Hannah Carney, like, retiring, matching my 46 World Cup win.
Oh, yes.
You know, the goals there, someone's showing you. And I used to always say that, you know, it's just like, you don't look at that as intimidating. Look at it as someone showing you the way, you know, and they sure did find their way, you know. The girls now are like, you could get like all 6 of them in the super finals. You know, they have a majority stake in there, and it's just so cool to see that, you know, Hannah Carney passed it down, and it's great. Yeah,
it's absolutely amazing. You know, when you look at it, Canadians are always good, also, but
yes, they are.
And the Japanese have really come on in a strong ways, but the U.S. has been quite dominant. What did it mean? You were at Waterville. What did it mean to have the World Cup back in New England?
It meant a lot because, you know, for years we've been Lake Placid has been our spot for the East Coast World Cup, and as much as that is special, and they've hosted the Olympics, and you could stay in the Olympic Training Center, you know, I think there was something very special about bringing it back to the birthplace and the strong history there. And I remember, like, as an athlete, you know, maybe these international athletes are, like, finally getting to come and experience a whole new place. Keeps you on your toes.
Yes.
Because you start learning the courses. And, yeah, I think it was very special. And I was working for outside online with Uncle Lee, and
Yep.
I got to ski around with Wayne Wong on Saturday, the dual day, but then was down at the base, so I wasn't there live to see it, which I was looking at a computer screen.
Right.
So, but I was there, So,
Well,
I mean, I went for many years to also, which I would call the Hahnenkamm of mogul skiing, which is Deer Valley. That one has,
amazing.
It's amazing because it is probably because you have I think it's 275 meters is the max it can be. There's a minimum and a max of a course length, and I think that one is at its max, and the majority of it is at the same pitch. So sometimes when you have mogul courses, I remember actually competing in Calgary, and it was the 90-meter outrun for the Nordic jump.
Right.
So it kind of went like this to Cornish drop back to an abrupt run out to the finish line. So normally you have those dips, but at Deer Valley, it's very consistent. It's quite the thigh burner, and I've never got to compete under the lights, but it kind of looks like a jewel at night. And so no, I think it's great that it was back east at Waterville Valley. I know it'd be awesome to have it here. We had nationals here, and I think it was 07 and 08, and that was a big deal for me because we have such a strong following of mogul skiers here, and outer limits there right at the base, so very accessible to go and watch. So it's nice. It was great. It was a good experience for me. Yeah.
Well, what are you up to today? Why don't you tell us what you're doing today?
Well, today I actually did my, physical therapy, and I took the day off, but I'm getting ready for my mogul camp, which is this weekend. So, how that all came about was after I retired, I was doing this, to bring up, I won't get ahead of myself, but Peekaboo and myself, it was Peekaboo that kind of spearheaded, we would do these women's programs, and it was to raise money for the ski and snowboard team. And the first one we kind of did was called Powder Girls, and it would be in Aspen, and we would ski with kind of trustees and kind of have more of a ski experience versus going to, let's say, a ski ball in New York City to raise money. So
yep.
These people who are backing the team, because basically America sends their athletes, and is constantly raising money. So we did that. And then I think Doug Lewis was like, why don't you do a men's version of that? And so we started doing, it was called Iceman during the Deer Valley World Cup. And I remember, I just want to bring how, that course is so intimidating. I remember bringing the men to the top of the course of champion. And you should have saw Doug Lewis and Tommy Moe, looking down that, and they're all sizing it up, trying to figure out whoa, because the moguls are just carved in and big. And then you see this big top air and nothing else after the top air really, because it's so massive. And it was just a really gratifying feeling to see these alpine gods kind of checking it out and being intimidated. So yeah, for years, that kind of went on. And as you did that for multiple years, and then I remember when Killington got bought by Powder Corp, and I met John Cumming in New York City, and he was like, so what do you do at Killington? I'm like, well, they give me a pass. And I go, I'd love to do more. And, you're kind of moving further off, as into your retirement. You kind of see the tea leaves, and you're like, all right, I got to, do something else. And I thought I said I would love to maybe do what we do for the ski team here, and because they didn't have a women's program here at Killington.
Right.
So in 2010, we launched specialty programs, and the women's program is in my name. And so it has been received very, I've had to learn too, how do you take a large group, if they're intermediate and above. And we get level of 3 coaches, instructors, the best. and I share share time with me. So I get to ski a morning with a group and an afternoon with a group, and then the same thing on Sunday. And we all run it out of the Grand, which is the new hotel, and we have a little private area there and do video. So that was going on for years, and then the men were getting jealous. They wanted to ski with me. So then we thought, all right. And the women's thing is not like, we had to be very careful about the literature, because everybody looks at me and goes, oh, she's going to send me down outer limits, And I'm like, it's not about that, So then we said, all right, let's do and then a mogul specific one. So it's men and women. So that's co-ed and intermediate and above. And we started doing that too. And so, yeah, we have one coming up this weekend, and we're looking forward to skiing bumps with everybody. So that's what we've been doing. I don't know when we started that, but it happened kind of right away, because men were like, why can't I ski with Donna? So.
I remember when all the special programs came together at Killington, and I thought they were great with you, with Dan Egan. I really, because it added a new little twist to how to become a better skier in a very family encompassing way where people weren't nervous about it. I thought it was awesome. Well, I've got to give you the chance to plug a restaurant down the access road that okay, it's only fair that it's family, and you should be able to plug it.
Well, it's just so awesome that, I grew up, I bought a house on North Jersey where my mom and my brother's there on the lake, and I spend my off time there. But it's so awesome to come up and stay at the family winter home and to have family here. So my sister, yes, and her husband brought up 4 lovely, I have 2 nieces, 2 nephews, and in 98, Joy came over and she was pregnant with Connor, her first, and I just missed that podium. I got 4th, and she's like, don't worry about it. We're going to be opening a restaurant. And yeah, the Lookout opened. Yeah, the first, well, if you're going down the access road, it's on the left. Going up, it's the last restaurant on the right. And boy, has that changed their lives. And now we have, she has 3 out of the 4 kids working in there, and then it's just so lovely to have family up here, and and then to have, when we hosted the nationals and have all the freestylers come through, and I gave them a lot of some of my my posters from tour, or traveling, and yeah, there's it's really nice to have family around. And actually they ended up buying Basecamp, or going in partners down there on that Route 4 at the bottom of the access road, which is kind of more mountain biking, touring skis.
With Ben.
Cross country. Yeah, with Ben.
Fantastic.
So I was just there yesterday, and they gave me a pair of Scarpas. So I'm going to try Hellion. I've been talking about it for decades, and so those guys sported. So I'm getting kickbacks, man. So I'm going to, I want to learn how to tele ski.
I absolutely love it. And when I send you the link to this podcast, I will also send it to Ben.
All right, there you go.
Because he's a great guy, and the Basecamp is awesome. But
it is.
Donna, I want to thank you for coming on. Absolute pleasure to chat about your past in Killington and your love for this sport.
Thank you very much. I do love it, and I do love to share it. So hopefully next year, if you hear it and you want to, come ski with me, go check it out on Killington. I'm under lessons, and it's in there somewhere. Just find me.
Absolutely. So, folks, that was Donna Weinbrecht, live from the Killington Base Lodge.
This is the year to visit the Jackson Hole Mountain Resort. With over 450 inches of annual snowfall, 4,000 vertical feet of continuous fall line skiing, a world-renowned ski school, and terrain for everyone, the Jackson Hole Mountain Resort is perfect for your next ski trip with friends or family. Off the slopes, Jackson Hole offers adventure and relaxation. Visit Yellowstone or Grand Teton National Parks. See elk, moose, and bison roaming in their natural habitats, or relax in a hot spring or at a spa. No more excuses. This is the year to go visit Jackson Hole. Go to jacksonhole.com for more information.
Hestra knows hands. For over 80 years, Hestra has been producing the highest quality, warmest gloves you can own. Crafted with durable, form-fitting leathers, they are made with the end user in mind. Don't let cold hands end a great day of skiing or snowboarding early. With hundreds of different options, you'll find a Hestra glove that fits your needs. Check out Hestra Gloves at hestragloves.com. That's HESTRAGLOVES.com. Or at your local ski shop or wherever Hestra Gloves are sold. Hestra Gloves, taking care of your hands since 1936.
David, there have been so many times I've felt like we have been in the presence of greatness, from Blake, from Reichhelm, from whoever else. But Donna is true greatness here out of New England, rags to riches. I don't even know what else to say.
Such a delight to talk to her. So humble for someone who's accomplished so much, right? We had a little bit of technical difficulty when we started the podcast, and I'm always worried I'm going to, fail to impress this impressive guest, this Olympic gold medal skier. She couldn't have been kinder, nicer through the whole thing, patient with us, spent a lot of time with us, which was great, told some great stories. Yeah, we've had great guests. I don't know. She's got a seat at the table of the Mount Rushmore of Basecamp guests, I think.
Yeah, she really does. I'm just amazed with, I'm going to throw Kristen Ulmer in there. I could just keep going on and on. These world-class athletes that have complete passion about skiing and about bringing others up within the ski world. It's just amazing. I really can't say anything else, but that was a tremendous conversation. Thank you, Donna. And I've got nothing else to say on this one.
The great Mike Specian, rendered speechless. Terrific job by you again, Mike. He's Mike Specian. I'm David Yaz. Thanks again to Donna Weinbrecht, our guest, of course, who was fantastic. This is a production of the New England Ski Journal and of Seamans Media. Please follow the Basecamp Podcast on Spotify, Apple, wherever you find us, or on YouTube, where you get to see our lovely mugs once a week. Thanks. Thanks for listening. Have fun on the slopes, and we'll see you next time.
New England Ski Journal's Basecamp is a Seamans Media podcast. Seamans Media. Inspiring, informative, insightful.